Hey everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Space Marine Adventures is one of my favourite Games Workshop games, so when I discovered that Games Workshop were releasing 2 expansions for it, I was very interested. Unfortunately, they were Barnes & Noble's exclusives, so I had to have them imported, but import them I did. The other day I did a video in which I looked at the Recon mission pack, and today we are going to look at the Rescue mission pack. Is it a good idea to have 2 expansions with such similar sounding names? Probably not, but there we go. You won't believe how many times I checked my basket to make sure I had one of each rather than 2 the same. But yeah, let's have a look. So if you watched my video on the Recon mission pack, you will see that the Rescue mission pack follows exactly the same format. We get 3 new heroes with the easy build push fit miniatures. The miniatures are actually from the Space Marine Heroes Wave 1 set of blind boxes that Games Workshop did, and that means that they push out of the frames without needing clippers and they push together without glue, so they are very easy to build. They are designed with collectors in mind rather than hobbyists, and that actually means they work really well for a game like this, which is going to be on the shelves in stores and people are just going to pick it up on a whim, and they don't have to worry about buying clippers and glue and things like that. They can just snap them out, push them together. It's a fantastic idea. The 3 miniatures in question, I actually have 2 of them already. We have a Brother Hermanas of the Crimson Fists with a missile launcher. In the distribution for the blind boxes, he had a 1 in 12 distribution. We have a Brother Maxus of the Silver Skulls. This is another miniature I have. He was a 1 in 6 rarity distribution in the blind boxes. And then we have Brother Bethor of the Dark Angels with a plasma rifle. And he was also a 1 in 12 distribution in the blind boxes. Besides the miniatures, you also get the activation cards required to use them, the data cards for them, 6 special cards. That's 2 each for each of the Marines, and then you get 2 mission briefing cards and a challenge card. So they're not exactly jam-packed with content, these expansions, and they retail for $24.95 each, but you do get 3 new heroes with all the skills and stuff associated with them, and that's quite a lot of options. If you have the other mission pack as well, plus the 5 Marines from the base game, you've got 11 different Marines to pick from, all of which have their own unique ability, all of which have access to unique special skills. Some of these cards are exclusively available to particular Marines, so they do bring quite a lot of options to the game, and of course you get a new mission as well. Let's have a look inside. Here's the instruction leaflet that comes in the box. It shows our 3 heroes fully painted, looking splendid, and then we have very easy to follow build instructions. It shows someone punching the pieces out the sprues and then just pushing the pieces together, which is exactly how they go. And you can see that each Marine has a choice of heads. This symbol here means you have an option, you can do one or the other, and the tick obviously means this is a finished thing. Very simple to follow instructions, you're not going to go wrong. Just follow the sequence of numbers, follow the box outs. It's really clear. And then we have our new instructions on the back, which basically tell you how to incorporate your heroes. Basically, you can choose from them as well as any other heroes you have. And then it goes through how to build your epic or legendary campaign and how to set up the rescue mission itself. So as these Marines are all from the Space Marine Heroes set of blind boxes, they each come on their own individual frame, and you will see that they have very thin connectors where they connect to the plastic, much thinner than on a regular sprue where you would cut, and that is because these are designed to punch out of the sprue, like I say. So you can literally just go snap and snap and snap, and there you go, a piece is out. You do need to be a little bit careful. Some of the connectors, I mean this one's connected in 4 different points here, so you'd have to go around very carefully snapping them out to make sure you don't bend or break anything. But, you know, they do exactly what they're intended to do, and you may want to clean them up with a knife or a mold line remover, things like that, especially if you're going to paint them. And although they are push fit and don't require glue, Some of the pieces can be a little bit loose on these, so if you're worried about that, you probably want to glue them. And if you're going to paint them, you will probably glue them anyway. Each Marine has a choice of heads. That's the only option you get on these. They are mono-pose, they go together one way. They have one loadout of weapons, but they do have a choice of heads. So if you've already got one of these from buying blind boxes, you can build it looking differently. Or in my case, you can just stick the helmet on again, because I always choose the helmet heads. I'm just not keen on bare-headed Marines. This one's not quite so bad because he still has his respirator on. So even though he isn't wearing his helmet, or the top part of his helmet, he's still wearing the bottom section. And that's not so bad because he still has that certain mysteriousness that comes from obscuring facial features. But I would still opt for the helmet in the end. So this is our Dark Angel. Next up we have our Silver Skull, and you will notice that all of the miniatures are in plastic, which is color coded to match the faction they're from. So the Dark Angel was green, and here we have a Silver Skull. He is armed with a regular bolter, but it's quite an interesting pose because he's actually reloading. You don't often see Marines in reloading poses. It's quite a nice miniature. There's the bear head with the monocle. Another gentleman looking dapper with his monocle on. And then the helmet option. Finally, we have our Crimson Fist in a very deep purple sort of colour. Looks almost black to me. Again, with the choice of heads. Another monocle. Another stoic, stern expression. He doesn't look happy. Beautifully detailed face, but as always, this would be my option. I just think Space Marines look so much better with a helmet on, and it just makes so much more sense when you live in a world where everybody's trying to shoot you. Helmets on at all times, lads. So here we have our character cards. First of all, Brother Bethor of the Dark Angels. He has the standard range 6 attack and 4 actions. His war gear ability is obviously his plasma gun. It says when Brother Bethor attacks a Necron, you can choose to add 2 to the dice roll. However, if you roll a 1 for that attack, Brother Bethor is wounded as if a Necron had attacked him. That's pretty standard plasma rifle rules, isn't it? Plasma gun rules. You can boost your attack, but at the risk of the plasma exploding in your face. Adding 2 to the dice roll is the strongest buff that we've seen. All the other characters, at best, they add +1 to their attack, so that's good. But yes, you are getting a potential negative with that. And considering Space Marines can only take 2 wounds in this game before they die, that's high risk, high reward strategy taking Brother Bethor. I'm not the kind of person who tends to take cards that will backfire like that when you roll a 1, because my dice rolling is terrible, and Brother Bethor would probably blow up on his first turn. Next we have Brother Maxus of the Silver Skulls, the guy who is reloading his bolter. He is range 6 for actions again, and his war gear option is extra ammunition. Brother Maxus can perform 1 free attack action in each of his turns, but only against a Necron that is not in a square adjacent to him. This makes him the opposite of Brother Frostclaw from the base game, who got a free attack action when he was adjacent to an enemy. Brother Maxus gets his free attack when he is not adjacent to a Necron. Slightly different to Brother Gallius from the Recon mission pack, because Brother Gallius got a free attack action on any target within 4 squares. So you've got this guy who can't have anything adjacent, Brother Frostclaw who can't have anything at range, Brother Gallius who can attack things that are adjacent or up to a range of 4 because he's using his bolt pistol. Finally, we have Brother Hermanes of the Crimson Fists. He has range 10, which is massive. That is the largest range we have seen so far. The previous largest range was the Imperial Fist character with the heavy bolter, who could shoot up to range 8. As with the Imperial Fist character, he only has 3 actions, which is a bit of a shame. Any of the characters with only 3 actions do feel severely hampered. Just that one extra action makes a massive difference in this game. His war gear is the missile launcher, as you would expect. It says if Brother Hermanas has not moved this turn, add 1 to the dice roll when he attacks a Necron. So what you can do is you can plant him in a corridor somewhere with eyes on the enemy and use all of his actions to pump missiles into them, getting that +1 bonus. This is very similar to the Imperial Fist Heavy Bolter, which could add 1 to dice rolls when attacking Necrons, except you couldn't get that +1 if you were attacking an adjacent Necron. So overall, I think Brother Hermanas is worse, mainly because the main benefit they've given him is range 10. But there are no boards in this game that have corridors up to range 10. Range 8 is the maximum you need. Every corridor in the game has a maximum of 8 spaces, and because you have to be in the corridor to see down the corridor, you really only need to be able to shoot up to range 7 and you can get anything. Range 10, I don't know, maybe that's for homebrews where you're going to put several boards together, but when you're playing, or maybe they've got plans for larger boards down the line, I don't know, or a new mission system where you put boards together. But as it stands at the moment, at range 10, there's no point. Those extra 2 spaces of range on his weapon don't mean anything. So his bonus there is negated, and then you're just left with his +1 to dice rolling if he hasn't moved, which again is slightly inferior to the Imperial Fists player character who can get that +1 anyway, as long as he's not shooting at something adjacent. So yeah, I would say Brother Hermanas is looking like the worst character of the bunch. I'm not keen on that at all. But what I will probably be doing in my games is randomly allocating a team of 4. So shuffling up the data cards or 1 initiative card from each Marine, and then drawing out 4 just to see what my squad is. So he will get some table time, just not through choice. And those are all of the characters. Of course, every character comes with initiative cards. You get 2 for the Dark Angels, 2 for the Silver Skulls, and 2 for the Crimson Fists. These are used to determine initiative order in the game. You shuffle them up and then you flip them to see who's going to activate next. They don't do anything more than that, but they are a good size, they're a good quality, and they have nice iconography on them. They do exactly what you would expect them to do. Next up, we have our special cards. There are 2 special cards for each of the characters in the game, so they are exclusive for those characters. The way these work is that at the start of your game, you will randomly draw some cards, and then you allocate 1 to each character, and they are 1-use items. And it tends to be the case that if you draw something that specifically keys into the hero that you've chosen, so if you're a Silver Skull and you pick one of these Silver Skull cards, generally it works out that these are a better option for you if you can match up your faction. So we have Trophy Hunter. Play this after Maxus destroys a Necron in an adjacent square. Take the minion counter for the destroyed Necron and place it on Maxus's data card. While the Necron minion counter is on his data card, add 1 to the dice roll when he attacks a Necron. Return the counter to the reinforcement bag at the end of the level. So the first time you kill something that you're adjacent to, you can take its head, and then you're at +1 for the rest of the level. That's really good, because it's also keeping a minion out of the bag. So you might want to save this ability until you're killing one of the more powerful enemies, because then you can just hold on to the token. Next we have Victory Foretold. Play this card at any time during Maxus's turn. Until the end of the turn, each time you roll the dice, you can choose to change the result to the opposite facing of the dice, so a 1 would become a 6, a 2 would become a 5. That's a really cool ability, especially when you roll dice like I do. It's actually the same ability that the Wizard from Legends of Andor has. It basically means that you're always guaranteed to roll at least a 4 when you attack, because you can always flip over to the opposite value on the dice. Really good ability. That's 2 very good abilities for the Silver Skull. Next up we have Frag Missiles, obviously for our Crimson Fist. It says play this card at any time during Hermanas' turn to perform a free attack action. Then roll a dice for each Necron that is in a square adjacent to the Necron you attacked, as if you were also attacking them. No bonuses apply. For each successful attack, a Necron is destroyed. So yeah, if you've got one of those situations where you've got a big bunch of Necrons around a crossroads or a T-junction, drop a frag missile on them. And of course, this is an additional action, which is very useful for a character who only gets 3 actions as standard. We then have Intractable Defense. Play this card if Brother Jimenez would be wounded by a Necron attack. Instead, he is not wounded, and you can pick one Necron minion counter that is in a square adjacent to him. That minion counter is destroyed. Wow, that's really good. Because not only are you avoiding the damage, but you're also passing it off onto another enemy to destroy them. That's another excellent card. And now we are on to Brother Bethor's cards, and obviously one of his cards is Supercharged Plasma Bolt, because you've got to have a Supercharged Plasma Bolt if you're kicking around with a plasma gun. It says, play this card at any time during Bethor's turn to perform a free attack action. If that attack is successful, Bethor can attack another Necron he can see which is adjacent to the Necron that was just destroyed. Keep attacking adjacent Necrons in this way until an attack fails or there are no more Necrons that can be picked. Well, that's cool. Yeah, so you can stand in a corridor where there's a line of Necrons and just blast through them all. Excellent, really good. That's a very powerful. Obviously, if you fluff your early dice roll, it comes to nothing much. But as long as you're doing okay, and of course you can use this in conjunction with Brother Bethor's ability to add 2 to his dice rolls at the risk of injuring himself. So you've got a good chance of clearing a corridor when you do that. Finally, we have Grim Resolve. Play this card at any time during Bethor's turn. As long as Bethor has not performed any move actions since this card was played, add 1 to the dice roll made for him when he attacks a Necron. Right, so again, plant him in a corridor, leave him standing there, and just fire into the enemy to clear out corridors. Use it in conjunction with your +2. You're getting +3 on every dice roll while this card is in effect. That's massive. Another really good card. These are all pretty good abilities. I think overall this set of characters are weaker than the set of characters that come in the Recon mission pack, and they're also weaker than some of the base game characters. But this set of special cards, these are really good. Just bear in mind that they are one use only. While the new heroes are the largest draw for this expansion, it also comes with a new mission. And it's actually a level 1 mission. The way that the base game worked is that you had 3 missions, level 1, level 2, level 3. This expansion gives you an alternative level 1. So you can play this as a standalone mission, or if you're playing a campaign where you're linking together level 1, level 2, level 3, you can replace your level 1 mission with this rescue mission instead. And then if you've got the Recon mission pack, you can actually replace your level 2 mission with the level 2 Recon mission, and then you just play the level 3 base game mission as standard. However, you can also play a legendary campaign using the expansions, where first you play the base game level 1, then you play this rescue mission, then you play the base game level 2, then you play the Recon mission, and then finally you play the base game level 3. So lots of options for how you're going to play this game, and mix and match campaign modes and different difficulty levels and characters and everything else. Lots of options, it's great. The rescue mission itself says the Space Marines must rescue their injured battle brother before activating the control console on the objective square to open the portal and escape. The rescue mission leaflet explains how to set up the level. A Space Marine can attempt to stabilize the injured Space Marine if they are standing on a square adjacent to him. Each attempt uses one of their actions. Each time an attempt is made, roll a dice. On a 5 or more, they have successfully stabilized the injured Space Marine. Place the miniature of the injured Space Marine in the game box. Once the injured Space Marine has been stabilized, the Space Marines can try to activate the control console and reveal the new stairwell tile as described on the level 1 mission briefing card. This game ends if all of the Space Marines have been taken out of action, all of the Space Marines on the board are on the new stairwell, or the Labyrinth deck runs out. So basically, you're still doing the console activation thing where you need to find the console, roll a 6 to find the way out. But before you can do that, you have to also rescue your battle brother, who, from the setup instructions in the leaflet that comes with this expansion, he is situated on one of the translocation squares. This is, I think, my only problem with this mission, is it doesn't specify what happens if something teleports onto that translocation square. My assumption is that the injured Space Marine cannot die. There's no mention of him having wounds, taking damage, or anything like that, but he sits on the translocation square, and because he's on the translocation square, the Necrons would teleport as if that translocation square was full, so they would actually appear in adjacent spaces. So he's something that you have to deal with, and which can also increase the speed at which Necrons generate on the board. That's how I read it, because there is no mention of him being injured when a Necron teleports onto him, because normally if a Necron teleports where a Space Marine is standing, the Space Marine takes a wound and no Necron is placed. So I will be playing it as he's classed as a blocked translocation square, and therefore the Necrons will appear adjacent. But other than that, it seems like a fun mission. The final element in this expansion is a new challenge card. Challenge cards were introduced in the base game, and you can basically pick one at the start of your game just to make it a little bit more difficult. It would be nice to have more than one, but, you know, at least it's something. This particular one reads, take 6 Necron reinforcement cards from the Labyrinth deck, each of which instructs you to place a Necron minion counter on a different translocation square. Remove them from the deck. So you're basically removing 6 cards from your Labyrinth deck. That can make a massive difference, because the game ends as soon as you run out of Labyrinth cards. So removing 6 puts you under a lot more time pressure. So that certainly is going to add to the challenge, especially if you're using it in conjunction with other challenge cards or advanced difficulty cards. Playing the alternative missions that have slightly harder objectives, that sort of thing. And that is the Rescue Mission expansion for Space Marine Adventures. I would say of the 2 expansions, I prefer the Recon one. It comes with the harder to find Chaser model from the blind boxed range of Space Marine heroes, which is a big plus. And I think the mission is slightly more interesting, and it doesn't have that slight rules ambiguity that the Rescue Mission does. Furthermore, the Rescue Mission expansion has the Missile Launcher Crimson Fist character, which I think is possibly a little bit weak and has that extra range that doesn't really achieve anything at the moment, but might come into play if they do subsequent expansions. And it also has a character with a plasma gun who has that risk-reward strategy that isn't something that I would normally personally pick. But still, more options, more special skills, new heroes, new mission. It's all good. I'm very happy to have this in my collection, and I'm looking forward to giving it a go. If you're interested in seeing a playthrough of the Rescue Mission or the Recon Mission, please let me know in the comments below. I do read and try to respond to everybody if I can. If you have liked the video, please consider pressing that like button, and if you have really liked the video, please consider subscribing if you do not already do so, because I am always here doing this sort of stuff Monday, Wednesday, Friday every week. Thank you very much, and hopefully I will see you all again very soon. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, and one more thing. Neither of the expansions included any more dice. The base game had colour-coded dice for the 5 Space Marines. Would it really have killed them to have chucked in 3 more dice in each expansion pack with the right colours? I know it's not necessary, but come on, when I'm playing my Silver Skull, I want a cool silver dice to roll. Anyway, maybe that's just me. Bye-bye.